We've had a partnership with Microsoft that goes back to the launch of the Xbox. We've had many conversations over the years about various forms of collaboration. Now is a perfect time for a combination.
4 months from now, Microsoft plans to complete the biggest takeover the video game industry has ever seen, taking 100% control of one of the largest gaming companies in the world for $69 billion, more than the value of EA and Epic Games combined. So what is Microsoft up to? At first glance, it looks like Phil Spencer and his team are trying to build a gaming monopoly. In 2014, Microsoft was the name on every gamer's lips after purchasing Mojang, taking full control of the world's highest-selling game. Then in 2020, Microsoft bought out ZeniMax, owner of Bethesda and the very popular Fallout franchise. This brought Microsoft to a total of 23 first-party studios and means they control about 20% of the video game market. So it may not be a monopoly now, but that looks to be the direction it's going in, and I'm not the only one who thinks so, as the Federal Trade Commission has even filed a lawsuit against Microsoft. Microsoft is the third largest company in the world and has its hands in a variety of industries. But why gaming? The company was founded in 1975, but didn't enter the gaming industry until 20 years later. This wasn't a part of some grand quest to become a gaming monopoly, it was simply to stop Sony. If Microsoft had had its way, it would have worked in partnership with Sony, which is doing a lot in the entertainment space. But Sony wasn't interested, and when Sony released its first gaming console in 1994, the original PlayStation, it became Microsoft's mission to create a console that would beat it. But they needed a way to pull it off. After all, Sony's PlayStation became the best-selling console by the end of the century, even beating out the Nintendo 64. Microsoft had released a few simulation games in the 80s, most of which were unsuccessful and didn't gain Microsoft much respect in the gaming space. In 1995, they created DirectX, a set of APIs that made it easy for game developers to create software compatible with Windows. This became a useful creation down the line and worked so well that Microsoft built an entire gaming console around it. Enter 2001. The PlayStation was already booming, and Microsoft had fired its first real shot at Sony with the release of the Xbox. This was a pivotal moment in Microsoft's gaming history, but was ultimately a financial failure, selling only 25 million units compared to the PS2's 158. Nevertheless, Microsoft had gotten its foot through the door and introduced the world to one of the most popular games of the 21st century, Halo. In 2008, Activision and Vivendi Games merged to form Activision Blizzard. The merger brought together two of the largest video game companies in the world with a combined portfolio of popular franchises such as Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and Diablo. The merger was seen as a way for the companies to pool their resources, allowing them to better compete in the fast-evolving video game market. The CEO of Activision Blizzard, Bobby Kotick, has stated that the gaming industry is incredibly fragmented, so this merger would provide more stability to the market. When asked about how the takeover would affect the employees' work, he said, "I don't expect it will be a lot different than when Vivendi owned us. They let us run the business pretty independently. I think that's largely going to be the case. Microsoft is likely to want to keep almost everybody." The company has also come under scrutiny and has been battling lawsuits over alleged discrimination, harassment, and toxic work culture. To make matters worse, Bobby Kotick was allegedly aware of some of these allegations and was summoned to court in September of 2021. This buyout could serve as the fresh start that the company needs under new ownership. $69 billion is a massive fee, even for Microsoft. But why are they going after Activision Blizzard specifically? According to Phil Spencer, CEO of Microsoft Gaming, mobile is the largest gaming platform on the planet. We as Xbox feel we need to have more creative engagement on mobile to be the team that we want to be again. As stated earlier in this video, Microsoft has a long-standing rivalry with Sony in the console wars. Now, which console is better has been debated for over a decade, but the numbers are unbiased and pretty clearly make Sony the winner. Microsoft even admitted as much in an official statement, which said Sony has surpassed Microsoft in terms of console sales, having sold more than twice as many Xbox in the last generation. Microsoft knows that buying Activision would let it put more big titles on Game Pass and make more games for mobile phones. This deal could be the final push Microsoft needs for the Xbox to outsell the PlayStation. As expected, Microsoft and Activision are the only ones excited about this potential deal. The FTC, UK government, and European Union all stand opposed to it, with investigations and lawsuits all underway. Holly Vidova, director of the FTC's Bureau of Competition, said in a statement that Microsoft has already shown that it can and will withhold content from its gaming rivals. We seek to stop Microsoft from gaining control over a leading independent game studio and using it to harm competition. Spencer, of course, countered, saying that the deal wouldn't hurt competition. Microsoft simply wants to make these popular games more accessible to help the gaming community. Yahoo News reported this takeover as having less than a 50% chance of going through, but only time will tell how this goes. Remember to leave a comment on how likely this is to go through. In the 1980s and early 90s, companies like Atari, Sega, Nintendo, EA, and Activision controlled most of the video game market. But we've come a long way since then. Microsoft is now looking to take a commanding lead in the industry. So what could this mean? The most obvious change will be more games to Game Pass. Game Pass is Microsoft's video game subscription service where gamers pay a flat fee each month and in return have access to a large catalog of games. The concept has provided many gamers with a more cost-effective alternative to traditional game purchases and has accumulated 25 million subscribers in its first 5 years. Microsoft hasn't been the only one to do this, with major competitor Nintendo creating its own subscription service, Nintendo Switch Online, in December of 2018. It has accumulated 36 million subscribers in less time. Of the three, Sony has been in cloud gaming the longest, launching its PlayStation Plus in 2010. The service has over 46 million subscribers. With this industry-wide shift, Microsoft is betting big on Game Pass for the future. When the company acquired ZeniMax Media, a huge number of titles were added to Game Pass, including older Fallout and Elder Scrolls games. The acquisition of Activision Blizzard will see far more games added to the streaming service. But more games on the Game Pass isn't necessarily a good thing. The FTC filed an official complaint against Microsoft, claiming that the proposed acquisition would give Microsoft both the means and the motive to harm competition by manipulating prices, making games worse on its competitors' video game consoles, or withholding content from competitors entirely. Microsoft will reportedly offer a 10-year deal to make Call of Duty available on Nintendo and PlayStation consoles, and have tried to make it publicly clear that this won't be bad for the industry. Spencer said in an announcement post that Activision Blizzard games are enjoyed on a variety of platforms and we plan to continue to support those communities moving forward. He also tweeted in January of 2020 that Sony is an important part of the industry and he values their relationship. This hasn't struck many as being very believable since Sony and Microsoft have a long-standing rivalry. Representatives at Sony have also made their displeasure at this deal public on multiple occasions. But perhaps a bigger concern is the independent developer. More consolidation and less competition in the market could mean indie developers have a much harder time making their titles appealing to companies. Brandon Sheffield, director of indie studio Microsoft, said, "If we have to adjust what we're doing to meet those platforms in order to survive, we're all better off just getting jobs at those companies." In the decade Microsoft has run, it's been deals with multiple platforms that have kept it alive, especially from companies looking to increase the number of titles in their catalogs. "I just worry we're trending in a direction that is less friendly toward innovation," Sheffield said. Are Microsoft building a gaming monopoly? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.